Hello all and welcome to the channel. Today I am taking a look at the last 4 weeks of all our economic board game goodness, and there is lots of exciting news today. So let's kick off with a new game that I've spotted. Not many new games this month, but I spotted this one, and it is called İnkılap, if I can pronounce that, and that is basically reform in Turkish. Now this game, I do not recognize the designer or the publisher, no idea when this is due out, but it really caught my attention. It kind of reminds me of a Tycoon India 1981. It's got that sort of industry type vibe. Now it says it's 2 to 5 players, looks on the longer length of play, 90 to sort of 240 minutes, and it's reckoning about medium to heavy complexity. Now in this one, players are contributing to the industrialization process of their country by establishing workshops, factories, and developing technologies, and the economy will transition from raw materials production to that of a more developed industrial sort of products and technologies, and you're trying to get profit to drive further economic growth. All sounds excellent, folks. Now it's got worker placement. You can see an image here as well. I really like the look of these little mini factories. Hopefully that sort of goes through to final production. You can obviously see it's got Turkey there. Looks like in the bottom corner you've got some tiles that maybe come together to give you something. You've got on completion, you've got various, I just like sort of the art style here. Obviously this is pre-production, but lots to like here. I'm looking forward to seeing more on this one. And that is pretty much it for new games, really. I've played a lot of games though this month, and what have I played first? Plutocracy, which is somewhere behind me. Now this game, I've brought you a video on the base game, which hopefully you've managed to watch, and the base game's good. The expansion, which I have played recently, have been sent to me, and that's coming to crowdfunding soon, hopefully available at SN24, really elevates this game for me. Now, the game in itself is about spending time, which is power, which is money. And this time it's got this action. Well, whoever's last in the time track is going to go first where you're going to be going. And then as soon as another player's last, there you go. So it's got that interesting mechanism of whoever's last on the time will do as many actions as they can before someone else is last. Now, as you spend this time, you're traversing across this solar system. You're trying to get on these planets to get resources, to go on other planets to sell them. But these planets are orbiting the sun, which is fascinating, folks, because when the token on the time track that comes around that says an orbit happens, they're all going to move, and sometimes if you're in the wrong location, you're stranded out in the solar system. You've got quirky things like you have to get an alien and take it to Earth to meet one of these conditions, and the essence of the game is getting as much money as you can to then spend it to attain power, because you want these councillors on the plutocratic council there to win the game. So it's very uber tight in this, you know, it can come down to 1 or 2 councillors. But this expansion, which is called Passengers, which I'll hopefully be filming soon and bringing to the channel, it adds this notion of you are going to planets and not only getting the resources, but you can attain a passenger and you're trying to transport them across the galaxy to where they want to go. And when you do so, you get a favor. Now these favors can range, I can't remember the specific names of them, but there's things like quantum physics where you don't necessarily need to be on the planet to undertake actions, which you normally need to do. You can be either one space behind it or one space ahead of it in its orbital path, which is very groundbreaking. You've got things where you can kind of jump to the asteroid belt, which can be really uber powerful if you're one side of the galaxy to get over to the other. There's things like commerce and trade where you can trade various resources just off the cuff for other resources. And these favors kind of go back into the pool. And it's fascinating how you have to put a coin on each one of these when you take a favor. So certain favors that haven't been taken are going to build up these coins and they're more attractive. So they just really add some nice aspects of the game that make it a little bit more accommodating, a little bit more capable of getting to certain spots on the board, because if you make a mistake in the base game, it can be pretty hard to catch up, especially if you're stranded out in a random part of the solar system there, because you then have to spend more time to catch up. And then you're generally missing a go or two because you spent all that time to do so. So this I like. And I've also tried the solo play, which is quite basic. You are trying to just get these passengers from one side to the other on all these various planets. You're not really trading or utilizing the money as such. You're just being very efficient over your time. But what I found this to be very useful for was just getting to grips with the actual game and the location and how things orbit. And if you give this a couple of plays, it plays super quick, like 15-20 minutes, you'll really get the hang of how to make the most of these planets and when to jump on and off and how to manipulate the orbit and make the most when you actually play the base game. So I think it's a really nice option to develop your game when you play multiplayer. Okay, next then, we played Automobile. What a fantastic game, folks. I wanted to play this for such a long time. Finally got this Grail game to the table. Now, this game is a Martin Wallace. I think it's 2009. It's a way back now. And you're looking at it, and this is the better looking version you can see here. And you're like, this looks a bit dated, but don't be fooled, folks. The economic activity in this is fascinating. Now, you're trying to make money from buying and selling cars. You're industry moguls and you're utilizing various figureheads in the industry at the time, and there is demand. So in terms of a flow of around, the demand is going to come out and you're not quite sure how much demand because you all know a little bit of information. You're then picking these leaders and they can give you research cubes, they can give you start and order. You've got then your free actions, so you can build factories, you can produce cars and a host of business activity. And then finally, well not finally, you're going to work through one of the special figures there, I can't remember his name now, but he was one of the top salesmen of the time. You're going to trigger your salesman in the showroom, which gives you a chance to sell these cars. You're then going to go and get some marketing and advertisement tokens that give you more capacity to sell from these factories. You're then potentially getting cubes, and then you're selling all your cars, and depending on if you use discount managers or advertising and marketing, should I say, will reduce the price maybe. Have you built a factory with an additional ability to get those cars produced cheaper? So loads of things to think about. And as this is all going on, if you are lagging with your technologies and in terms of what model cars you're producing, you're getting these black cubes that are accumulating and costing you. If you have not managed to sell with your salespeople, you're getting these black cubes. So you're having to think real carefully how much you're going to invest in your technologies and your factories. How many cars can you produce? Because if there's any left, you were getting these black cubes and they stick with you until the end of the game, and you pay like a surcharge and tax on those. And just loads of interesting options and a real dynamic amongst the players here this offers. You're constantly looking at, well, if you can sell that number of cars, then I can sell this, but then what if you do that and then I have this price? So guys, if you get a chance to give this a go, go and give it a go. There's just lots of things to like here. Okay, next up then, I had a few games of Nucleum this month. I've just got the Australia expansion, which I have not yet played, and I've got to read the rules on that one, but I have managed to fit it all in one box. But I had to take out the fourth player. I don't think I'd ever play Nucleum with 4 players personally. I think 2-3 players is the sweet spot for me. I'd definitely give it a go, but for me, if I can fit everything in that box with the expansion for 3 players, I'm happy. Now, what I wanted to say about this is I've spoke about Nucleum quite often on the channel. It's a fantastic game, folks. Yes, it looks a bit garish, but you know, if you like things like Brass Birmingham or Barrage, something like that, then you will probably like this one. Now, I think this game, it's still growing and growing on me. It's taken me about 5 or 6 plays to really grasp everything in terms of the little rules and the minutiae of how you do this and when you do that and what legalities and networks and all sorts. So I think if you play this once or twice and it's you like it, but it's just a lot going on, I think you have to persevere. Similar to Brass, it takes a good, you know, as I say, 5 or 6 players to really get this under your belt. And only now am I really starting to see the strategies and the intricacies of how you can make this game work for you, and you're building, you know, you're utilizing your workers, you're going for the money, and you know, the rail networks and how you're using these actions. Just so much to enjoy here. So I'm here basically to say, stick with it. It's such a good game, folks. Right then, next one I played was Scarface 1920, which was nice to get this to the table. One of my friends taught it us, which was, you know, it's a big game in terms of its teach. It's quite streamlined as to what you do, but you need someone who's really on top of the rules, just so you're not making these silly mistakes. The theme, fantastic, folks. You know, it's all about that mafia and set in that era. Really nice production. All the miniatures are great. I liked it. You know, I'm not a massive fan of these Mafia games. Most of them tend to be more about area control and not so much the economic side. This is probably one of the most economic ones I've played. You're very much in charge of, you know, the money flow, which businesses you're going to buy, how you're going to get this income, how you're going to develop your boss to just do more with the figures. And there's a nice flow if your figures are going into these various areas. I can't remember now, the underworld and things like that, and how you're utilising these cards to maybe get them back. Maybe you got the judge or something. The deck of cards you can attain and add into your deck is nice. It's almost like a deck build, I'd say. So you got these characters coming in and you can, you know, real strengths of them and synergies as to how you can make the most of your mob and your empire. But I liked it. Would I play it again? Yes. Do I really, really like it? Probably not. It's a good game though, and very expensive as well. Okay, that is the games I have played. So, some random things then. I'm talking about it again. I've spotted some more images on the Geek. Terraforming Mars. Look at this absolute beast. I don't quite know if, I think this is just a fan-made one. I don't think you can go and buy this. But look at it. It looks to have most of the expansions on. I haven't played them all, so I can't really tell you truthfully if they're all on there. But obviously the map here where they're placing the tiles looks customized, looks great. You've got, I'm guessing that's what, a 4 or 5 player game on the go there if I do the maths. But yeah, that looks outstanding. So I just needed to share this with you. Yeah, super. I've also spotted, I can't believe I've never even heard of this before. You know, I'm a big fan of Acquire. There's a reprint coming out, hopefully at the Essen Spiel this year. This is called 1963 World Map Conversion Kit for the game Acquire. Fascinating, folks. I didn't even know that the original was kind of based around this. This is, you know, a version that you can bolt on. How accessible it is, how much it costs, I do not know. But essentially, this manipulates the game. So you start off with 60 shares, they're randomly dealt out, and you don't quite know the distribution of who has what, which is a massive thing in the game because you all start with none or minimal shares, and you can kind of gather from the 25 shares, you know, who's got majority when you get to 13, and you can see people buying and selling. But in this version, to start with random shares, that really changes the game. You equally can only buy a maximum of 1 share on your turn, which it says prevents the whole running out of money scenario, which usually happens to one player in the games I play. So this means you've generally got liquidity, you've got cash about you throughout most of the game, and more competitive because you're just able to buy 1 share. So you've got that decision process of, right, do I want that one or that one? And that's pretty much it. Whereas normally you can buy up to, is it 3 shares if I can remember right? And you've got this, right, I'll buy 1 of theirs, 2 of these, but hold on, they've just bought that. And it's meant to speed the game up this and be true to its original nature of what the designer was intending. So yes, I'm going to keep an eye out for this game basically and see if I can get a version or maybe add it to the one I've got. Right then, I mentioned this last month and they've got an image of the actual front cover now. It's a smartphone ink game, Factory Ink. No more change on the details, nothing really to add, but it looks like they're taking it seriously. The cover art looks great here, similar vibe to the other games. So I am buzzed to see this one, folks. You know, I enjoyed Smartphone Ink, the game, with the world map, very nice. And also the 2-player worked well with the expansion on that, the expansion map. I enjoyed Mobile Markets, really nice game solo. Wasn't massive fan of that multiplayer. So yeah, very curious for what they do with this one. Next then, yes, an image at last, and I've got another image of the map, Indonesia, the 3rd edition. So it's nice that they've kept the original cover art. Obviously this isn't all final, but these are some images they've released on the Geek. It's a bit quirky, the Indonesia cover here. It's not exactly selling it to, you know, most gamers new to the hobby, but for hardcore fans, yeah, I'm glad they've kept this nice look to it. Just says 3rd edition in the middle there. And we have a picture of the map. Now, there's all sorts of debates out there as to how this map should look. Obviously, the 1st edition, 2nd edition, there's tweaks here and there with, you know, how the ships look, making it easier to utilize. The map was always very difficult to read, I found. I played the 1st edition, and this one, so far, looking at it, I like the simplicity, the subtleties in the greens, the names you can read a little bit better, the distinctions with the blue lines here. So, you know, whether they'll adapt this slightly as they go along, maybe. I think they've had a lot of feedback on this and they're listening to the hardcore fans. So yes, very intrigued and excited to see this and hopefully get it for a price that is reasonable. And that, folks, is all my extra bits and bobs. Don't forget, as I am probably releasing this, I filmed it just before, but the UK Games Expo is on. So hopefully you're there. Hopefully you're coming to say hello. And I will see you all guys soon next month's video. Take care. Bye for now.